Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a great day. We're live at AHR 2024 in Chicago. A nice warm day, sunny outside, dry.
It's above 30, so that's good.
Yeah, but it's raining.
The freezing rain hasn't frozen yet.
We have one of our OG partners for the podcast on the show today, Justin and Noah with Upfrog.
You know, Justin was tearing up before the episode today because 2 years ago was kind of the start of his business.
It was.
He was tearing up because we had him on the podcast and kind of announced to the world. I saw tears in his eyes.
At AHR.
Don't make me cry.
It was at AHR, and that's the whole reason they blew up the way they did.
Yeah,
It is.
That's right.
No, absolutely not. Not because of us. For those of you who are out here and don't know who Upfrog is, can y'all give an introduction of who you are, what you do, and your background?
Yeah, so sure. My name is Justin. I'm the founder of Upfrog. So, what we do basically is we generate new leads for your business every day. We take your existing customer base and get you back into homes, and we, help assist to help you close unsold jobs. So really that's our threefold. When we look at a healthy home service business, you need new leads daily, right? It can't be stale. And through about 23 years of home service, I started in home service, helper, installer, service guy, sales guy, owning a business, exiting, and now into the marketing side and growth side. I think it's given us a very good perspective, and we kind of live by a model that is form over fancy, right? Okay. So you see a lot of other companies, and they have really, really beautiful stuff and this and that. I really don't care how it looks, but does it work?
Do you feel like appearance of it attracts people more? Or if it's not as, aesthetically pleasing, you got a guy with a speech impediment trying to say a hard word.
That's a tricky one.
Do you feel like that if it's not as pretty as everything else,
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
will people actually click on it?
I feel like if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter what it looks like.
No, I agree with that 100%.
You know what I mean? Like you can have like a real fancy website that loads really slow. What do you think is going to convert better? A boring page with nothing on it and a button, or one that doesn't load?
Yeah, no. Real quick. Okay, so Josh, thanks for correcting me on this and stopping me. I completely forgot.
I was going to say something, but you just kept going, so.
What are you going to stop me about?
I'll find out after you say it.
Before we get started with the entire podcast episode, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Ben Poole and everyone at HVAC Tactical. We won Podcast of the Year, and
well deserved.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and it was a great honor. It threw Josh and I both for a loop because we watched everybody get up there with their prepared, pre-written acceptance awards, their acceptance speech for their award, and nobody told Josh or I that we had won anything, so we didn't prepare a speech. So
do you have a video of that?
The whole time, I'm sure
we have one somewhere.
And so the whole time we're thinking, I didn't prepare a speech. You didn't prepare a speech, so we didn't win. All right, cool.
We probably should have, with ChatGPT and our phones, probably should have put something together real quick.
Yeah. So we get up there and we're like, oh.
And add some humor into it.
First thing Josh says is,
friendly tone.
Did you prepare a speech? No, I didn't prepare a speech. So here we go. We're winging it. But
how'd it come out?
Yeah. Look at Brittany. She's like, no, not great.
She's like, it wasn't so good.
It's about like our podcast episodes. So. You just wing it. No, but a huge shout out to everybody that voted for us, and I was okay with not winning. I'd like to be a three-peat nomination that didn't win. Like, I'd like to hold that record.
You just like to be the first loser every time?
First loser. I don't even know that. There was two others, so we might have been a second loser.
That's true.
No, but a huge thank you to everybody that voted for us and that made that possible. But now back to the show. Noah, tell us about you and what your role is at Upfrog.
So I normally handle onboarding. So the first thing that you'll encounter whenever you sign up with us, obviously, is a team of people willing to help you get on our product, as most. Now, with that, you'll find that we have the same tone as we do in sales. So we go from a friendly tone, right, into more of an important tone, because at this point, you know that you are moving forward with your business. And this is when normally the guys make plans. So if you could say the biggest thing I do there is help them plan whenever they're doing their onboarding. Obviously, I'm not always clicking the buttons, but it's more of the, hey, I've seen people, what they do in the past. What exactly are you looking for in your business? Some people are looking for a quick ramp to hire new people. Other people just want to maintain what they've had in the past and are not currently
Like
experiencing.
Sherpa. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just guide people along.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the main thing I do in a public role. And look forward to seeing anybody who's willing to change their business.
So today's episode, we're going to talk about what we should be doing now in this time period of really uncertainty. It's going to be, Justin, you just recently posted this. We're predicted to have the warmest February in a long period of time. So there's a chance that those no heat calls just aren't going to come in. So what do we do in the meantime?
Yeah. What do you do when nothing works?
Yeah.
Right. In our residential market is so tied to existing home sales. And I think there was some steam that was starting to build in January and December of last year that we're going to forecast some rate drops and, higher sales and things like that. Well, I don't think the rates are going to drop quickly as people think they are. And it's going to kind of give us a real stagnant February. If you look at the projections, we're looking at, 10 to 15% above average temperatures at like 80% chance for about 80% of the country, which is historically February can be a very difficult time. But if you put those sort of temperatures in it with a slowing economy, like what do we do? Right. So
That on top of is an election year.
oh yeah. Oh, it's
there's
the,
so
it's
much
a
the
lot of
perfect
noise out
storm.
there this year.
So much uncertainty involved.
But what if I told you had everything in your business that you need already to make it?
I mean, yeah, without having to, bump up PPC.
Yeah, without having to get a marketing partner, without having to do all these different things, like you actually have the synergy and you have the stuff inside your business. And I think that's really what I want to take some time and talk about is like, how do you do that? Right? I don't care if it's you've got customers written on a spreadsheet or you've got a CRM with Service Titan that's segmented or Sarah. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you got job folders from the past, right? I can remember we used to do outbounding in my father's office. They had large filing cabinets, right? And they were all we had white ones and we had yellow ones, right? The yellow ones were the installs and the white ones were the service tickets. And they were all filed in nice in order, and it was done that way, and it has a number, cascading, like ticket numbers. Well, he'd say, well, we're doing outbounding today. Well, you knew you had to grab a chunk, carried it over to your desk, and you started calling these people. Like, we didn't have like a nice little computer system where we could send that like emails, texts, things like that. Like, we actually had to dial it. And
Let me tell you my experience with that. We had a DOS-based system, Desco, and with the,
I had the
with
same
the
one.
old
yeah.
with the old printer, that
The
had
ribbon?
the holes.
Yep.
Yep.
Told you, like
Yep, we were just talking
a
about
stack this high, and you like fold it back. You like, all right, call that one. Call that.
That's
one,
exactly
call
right.
That one. It was crazy. I remember seeing that stack. I'm like, here we go. I know what that means.
yeah. And I think that a lot of people are intimidated by it, or let me put it this way. I think that, just about every owner has tried outbounding to some degree.
Right.
Whether it's themselves, their employees, this or that. And I think that the number one thing to do is to somehow get whoever is making the calls, the confidence to make those calls correctly. And I think that's the most important factor to look at. Okay. A lot of people say, well, yeah, our outbounders, they work remotely and they're calling. Yeah, they call. No, you want that outbounder next to your general manager, your operations manager in that business. You want them in the exact same room. Because what you want to do is the goal of the outbounder is to make the call, make the connection, not to know the technical stuff. You don't need to know that stuff. But if it gets off course, you need to give the call center people an ally or an off ramp to be able to answer the questions or, flip that to somebody else so that the customer experience is good. Tersh asked a great question earlier. He said, so what do you do if the customer gets all technical? Do you book the call or not?
Or wait for the technician.
Exactly. And really the end game is, okay, we're trying to book a call. So if you can get around the technical stuff before the tech gets there and book the call, then the tech handles it. If the person will not book the call until the technical question is answered, then you better have a service manager and a sales manager, an install team, somebody who can field this customer's call
So
instantly.
you need them right there to answer it, not let me get that answer and call you back.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to disconnect the call, especially if you got them where they're warm enough where they're talking to you, because you may not get them back on the line again.
Yeah,
So,
next time they see that number, they're like,
Yeah, I don't want to have that conversation again.
I'm busy right now.
So a lot of people ask, like, well, how many calls should I make a day? Right. And that's like,
What? Okay, so let me ask you as if I was the contractor asking
Okay.
you. Okay, so whenever I'm talking to my CSR or my outbounder and I want to say, I need you to do X amount of calls a day, what's the average amount of calls should I tell my outbounder that they need to be making a day?
well, if you book 1 out of 100, so 1 out of 100 is an okay schedule rate on outbound calls, because the first 30 you call are not going to answer.
Yeah.
Right. And if you've got dial pad and dialers, you're only going to get a hold of maybe, I don't know, 40% of the people that you actually call. So that's 40 people. So you book 1 out of 40. That's not too bad. Right. But the answer of how many calls do you make is, well, how full is your schedule the next day? Right. And you should be working call capacity. Right. It should be 80, 60, 40. Right. What that means is you book to 80% capacity for the next day, 60% capacity the day after, and 40% capacity the day after that. And some days you may not have to do any outbounding. Some days you got to outbound till 8 o'clock at night to fill that board for 80%, right? And I want people to start to think of outbounding as this knob, right? And yeah, there's tools and Upfrog, we make a platform that, we can go out and text people and help you through this. But at the end of the day, this should be a self-sufficient department of your business.
So let me ask you a question on that. So we talked about CSR outbounder.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a different role, or is it one and the same?
Good
because
point.
there's a lot of
Good point. Yeah. Outbounder is specifically to outbounding.
Yeah.
And outbounding and what that can be is calling customers, following up on like an inside sales position. Like you can blend that. So imagine your capacity is booked, but yet you still need more sales. What do you do with that person, right? So then what you're going to do is you're just going to transition them over to maybe a different trade or to calling back estimates that did not close. Right. And I think there's this position that everybody really needs to have, because, you've done the numbers with me before. Mm-hmm. What's one more call a day, right? That's 200 jobs and an average ticket of $250. Or $450, an average ticket, right? Is $90,000 by booking one more a day, working day. 3 more is $227,000. And believe it or not, that goes straight to the bottom line.
Service calls.
That's it.
That's not converted.
An average ticket of $450. When you add in installations to that, you're going to be looking at an average of $950 to $1,350 most of the time nationally. You're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to your business by booking one more call a day.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people are asking and think about the overhead expense of having that outbounder if they're not actively.
That was this. Okay, so back to what I was talking about with planning, right? So people often come to marketing companies for answers, and they expect not us to do the work for them,
Perfection.
okay? But they expect perfection and it quick, all right? And oftentimes you'll find that I will turn you back on your database that you've had for years while you wait for marketing to catch on, right? And it's not this. It's not an SEO wait, right? We're still running leads, all right? But there's definitely not like a AC repair near me lead, okay? You may get a few, but the majority of them are going to be people who want to have conversation, ask questions, and then once they're educated, who thought they'd spend more, right?
Right.
So the average job tickets are a bit higher whenever we follow this path. So
What have
naturally,
we seen as far as, like, he was talking overhead. So what have we seen, like, pay scales be and successful ways to, what works and what have we seen not work?
yeah, so hourly wages, all right, obviously there's some legal, and I'm not an HR guy, but we want to get that set pay as low as possible. All right, now, in the reverse of that, I want you to give your guys, some of my top performers get 1% of the sold job, and they never leave the office, all right? So if they're out there, these are California guys, $17,000 job, the CSR is happy to make base pay plus 170, right? So if people... I've seen $25 an hour employees. I've seen people who are sales driven at 30, right? And those people lack performance. So when you're asking overhead, it's almost like your overhead's lower until they work as well, right? Because you're going to be
so much
paying
more performance pays. What you're
performance pay,
100%.
100%. If you're not performance paying, you're in a sales position. It's like,
Not a good sale.
why would you do yourself? Well, you're going to pay your salesman an hourly rate to go to the home? No.
They
So why are you
want-
paying your person to sell appointments the same?
And I want all owners to not worry. Like, if your employee makes more money than you, that's
Yeah,
a good
great.
thing.
That's great.
Okay, that means that they're producing, right? And some people have this mindset where, well, they can't make more than me. Like, I don't
I
care.
feel like I thought that was an old mindset.
I still hear it all the time. Well, I can't pay them that because this person makes this or this person makes this.
Well, then work harder.
That's right. That's right.
That's the challenge that I have with hourly pay in general. And we could go into a whole conversation about performance pay, commission, hourly pay, and the management, the ethics behind it. The challenge that I have with with hourly pay is that there's unethical people who sit on a clock and squat on the clock, and they're not motivated. Once they've reached their the amount of money they can live on with their 40, then they're not motivated to get any better. And so that's just as unethical to me as someone who would do like oversell something to a customer just because they're on commission-based pay. And so I feel like because they're underserving the client whenever they're just sitting there not
I hear
doing
about
anything.
that all the time. Do people really oversell people that much? I mean, honestly, is it
No
just
matter
the
what, you
jealousy
gotta
of
manage it. You have to
Yeah.
manage it either way. But if you're managing a commission-only technician, no, I wouldn't see it. I mean,
Yeah,
because
I think
you're
it's-
seeing you're especially if you're doing call-by-call management,
Yep.
where you're talking to them before the call, during the call, and then after the call. Then if they've oversold it, that's your fault because you're interacting with the technician the whole time.
Yep.
Yep. And I think to kind of get back to this whole confidence thing, because that's what you need. That's what you need to have, just exuding from these call center people is confidence.
Well, let me ask you this: with the confidence, how do you deal with being told no constantly? Because like the most bubbly person in the world, I feel like if they are told no 75 times in an hour, and it's like,
Or how do you manage picking them up? Like we had this conversation
Yeah.
we had this conversation at Home Service Freedom with Brigham Dickinson, which obviously he has he trains CSRs and outbounders.
So we had a contract with Home Depot back in the day, 03 through, 2015, really dating
Oh, yeah,
myself.
great.
We had 14 different stores and we had lead generators in the stores and we were doing
That's a long
the whole
time ago.
box retail stuff. I know.
Long as hell.
I just turned 42 yesterday, so.
Happy birthday! If you turn 35, somebody told
Thank
me.
you.
Oh shoot, man, we should have got you a cake last night.
We did get you a cake.
We were pretty offended.
I ate it all before you got there.
Yeah, that's what it was. It melted in the place you're staying at. So we've got this confidence thing, right? And what we found out was that we couldn't work lead generators more than 4 to 5 hours a day. Because to get at that point, like if we worked them 8 hours a day, and it would just defeat the soul of these people.
Yeah.
Right. So we wanted to give them enough incentives that they could work 4 to 5 hours a day, right? And make them make their daily rate of 8, but to have them work 6 days a week because I want them working on Saturdays as well. Okay. And we would break it down into lower hourly because really one of the biggest problems I see with outbounding is, all right, we're all excited. We're it's 8:05. We just got done our morning meeting. Go hit the phones.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
pumped
worst
up.
thing you can do, right? Nobody answers their phone at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, it's like 4 in the afternoon.
So if you come to me
Yes.
for a plan on outbounding, I would tell you to hire them starting at 3 p.m.
Yes.
and have them in the office until 10 p.m.
Yep.
If they're willing to work those hours,
You will crush it.
Okay, so that's a great point. But what happens if they need that? Okay, say we're a company that's like I'm the manager and the owner, and I have to sit next to this person to help them out. And I started the day at 7 a.m. and then I need to stay there till 10 p.m.
okay, so sometimes you got to do more. That's the first answer.
Yes,
The second one is maybe you stay until 5, and during that 3 to 5 time, you're really rigorous in your training. Okay, not everybody has time. I get
Slack
it.
channel. Most of the time, what they'll do is they'll set up a queue, right? They'll have 3 or 4 people that manage a department, right? And an opportunity will fly over to where they need an answer on it. And they have 3 to 4 people that are always watching a Slack channel or internal messaging. So they'll post the question in there. And between one of the 4 people of the heads of the company or whoever you've got, everybody joins in to give an answer. And it's really a collaborative effort at that part because if you build your business upon one thing, it's a friction point, right? And you're going to get, blocking. So what I've seen most people do is they set up internal messaging through Slack. And then also where that comes into play is every time they book one, they're getting to post that in the group channel. Everybody's congratulating it, right, and keeping them going along, right, and it's throughout the day, right.
So do y'all use Slack?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, and you use Slack. Mm-hmm. How do you keep the communication? This is not a marketing question. This is a Slack question.
Okay.
Because I know I've been asked this a ton, and we're actually experiencing this now with our business. How do you keep the communication to where it's not so overwhelming that you start getting that notification fatigue where you're just blurred? Like, all right, we got another notification, another Slack ding.
Well, when we do podcasts on Wednesday morning, literally, like, because it's sitting on the computer, I could see the little red dot,
Right.
but you get all the messages taken care of before you have a meeting, and then 45 minutes later you get 20 messages
I've
waiting
gotten
for
to
you.
the point where it's like, all right, I'm notified what I feel like on everything, and that's not important to me. That doesn't pertain to me.
So that's a operational thing. All
I
right.
know,
So
yeah.
in the beginning, you need titles, and then the main one that we have our notifications on constantly with companies that we work with is going to be the booked appointments channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important. Now, if you have like a 911, then I would probably have those two notifications, and that's that. Now, I naturally check my phone every 15 minutes so I can just have it where it doesn't have a noise, right? And it's just pinned to the top. So to help you in your life, I think that would help a lot of people too, because
Managing notifications. Very important.
Don't
That's
allow notifications when they ask you.
That's a real thing, man.
It's
It
social-
really is.
It's terrible.
A national study has been performed on the desktop notifications. If you have desktop notifications on, you should turn them off, because every time you glance at the desktop notifications, it takes an average of 7 minutes to get back on task.
oh yeah,
So
Imagine how much work we could be doing.
right. So I mean, I have FOMO of missing out if I don't get a notification, but
You never answer me when I text you.
I turned
Is that
it
one
off.
silent?
Yeah,
That one's
Yeah.
silent?
Yeah, that's not the important.
he knows how to mute that one.
I just wonder what everyone else is doing to avoid that overwhelm, because I talk to other business owners, and as their businesses grow and their Slack channel communication turns into they
I
have
think it's
100
wise.
technicians who are in a Slack channel, and they're all just chiming in a little bit, and then they get to where they are ignoring Slack. So whenever a manager messages, then all of a sudden,
There's no priority
So
to it. is
what I've
you're
learned is one message. It could be big formatted. So like it has a lot of data, but
There you
one
go.
message. So it sounds like from 100 texts in one room, they shouldn't be messaging unless there's like we're not doing technical questions through Slack. Lots of that's just a quick phone call,
Yeah.
right? Or voice memo. What you're gonna do with Slack is like documentation and maybe like an at someone, and it goes directly to them, right? Slack should not just be a 20 channels, all notifications on. That's a nightmare. You'll never follow any.
I don't know if I knew that you could mute notifications, certain channels.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've done it like
Exactly.
overall, but I guess I
You can do categories too. So put the
I
channels
need
in
to
a
get trained on
category.
Slack, honey.
Hey, this is all on YouTube University.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you saying I just need to do a little extra roll up the sleeves?
Just know.
You heard
It
it
taught me.
before?
He's calling me out.
No. It just taught me a lot. So I share it with
Let's
everyone.
meet behind this sign when you're done.
Yeah.
Good luck. You've been working
All right,
out.
so that was.
Yeah, I want to get back to.
I was gonna say we dove down in that rabbit hole.
Well, we talked because we talked to Brigham at Home Service Freedom, and he mentioned having, if you're going to have someone that's a CSR also outbound, have them inbound in the morning. So similar to what you guys mentioned, then have them outbound in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
because they see the
But
data.
I like the tip about a different schedule, 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
4 or 5 hours, they can come in, they're energized for that time,
Exactly right.
they're drained by the end.
And believe it or
then
not,
move
it
on.
actually opens you up to a different style of an employee as well, right? Like there are some people that want to do this full part-time, that don't want a primary job, but they want to make a little bit of extra coin in the evenings, right? And you can get some highly motivated people that work 3-4 hours in the evening, and that's enough for them, right? So it opens up your pool of who you can actually get into the business. And that's a very, very important thing, is 8 hours a day with that stuff is going to crush anybody. I don't care who you are. It's horrible. But Home Depot actually tipped us off on that. They said, I don't want you working anybody more than 4 hours. I want you to have a morning crew, evening crew, and I want you to have it 7 days of coverage, but you cannot have it more than 4 hours a day. Because the efficiency, it doesn't get any. It's diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting with having them in the afternoon, because we all know the morning starts in a contracting business, and we really don't know what's going to unfold that day.
Oh,
most
yeah.
days. Things are going to change. Equipment's not going to arrive. We're going to get the wrong equipment, and we're going to have to reschedule jobs and stuff like that. So by the afternoon,
And then somebody
we-
called out.
Yeah. Somebody called out. Now we got to rearrange everything. And then we're trying to figure out.
If you got somebody in there booking at 8 a.m. and they're actually
And they're trying to book for the next
successful,
couple of days.
and
It's all gonna
then
get jacked up.
You're moving stuff around, and you've got somebody that called in sick at 8 o'clock at the same time.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're like, crap. Now
So
you're
if
calling
I had
back
to, like-
people that you just talked into letting us come there and saying, hey, can we reschedule you?
Yeah. So I hear the other question is like, well, how many calls should my guys be running? Right? Like that's the one I get a lot. Okay. And here's what I would do. If I were running an operating business right now in February with a customer base, I would do one thing first, right? Number one, operationally, you need to have the pictures of the unit. You need to have the model and serial number and the age of the equipment on every single job that you go to. Okay. If they don't do it, then they're fired. It's that important, right? Because that's your list that you need to draw from. And then what I would do, I would be
Can
doing...
you explain why? Can you explain why that's so important? Because I don't want to gloss over that.
Okay, so if a unit is less than 10 years old, the instances of replacement or a value above $1,300 is extremely, it's night and day. 10 years is the mark where you can really start to gauge, was the tech doing his job for the conversion or not, right? You can't, a lot of people go out and they say, well, this tech is not performing well or his closing rate's low. Well, are you measuring all of his calls or are you measuring his opportunity calls? Right? And if it's a 10-year-old or more unit, you should judge your closing rate on that, bar none.
But if we don't have that information, you can't just...
Can't book the call unless you know the age.
So that gets into data and managing your data
100%.
properly.
100%. Because, if you let the outbounder know that you're calling a list of people that have units that are 10 years or older, and we have this special that's going on, the worst thing they want to do is call somebody that's you just put our unit in 2 years ago. You know how embarrassing that is?
Oh, right.
You know how much that crushes the confidence, right? So you need to set them up for success, and then you need to have your techs. It's like a full circle thing, right? They need to get this information back to the office. So you've got one touch point that happens when the initial booking. You've got another touch point that happens when the tech is in the home. You have another touch point that happens after the call. If you can't get the information in those 3 touch points, I guess you could call the customer and tell them to take a picture. But that's how important it is.
That's not world-class service.
Hey, it's never given
Hey,
up,
we forgot to get your model and serial number. Can you send that to us so we can try to sell you a new unit?
Would you go up in the attic and take that panel off? I want to see that heat strip number.
So what we've found is that 3 tune-ups a day plus an emergency call, repair call for per tech has been the most optimal ROI and performance that we've seen.
And you're recommending, and we're also talking residential.
Residential, correct.
You're recommending we send senior technicians on 3 tune-ups a day?
They're going to get the older tune-ups. Yeah, there is no difference between a tune-up that's 10 years old and a broken 10-year-old.
Right.
There is no difference, believe it or not. There really isn't, because data doesn't differentiate. It's a 10-year-old plus unit, right? And there are things that are in a 10-year-old unit that they need to examine. But yes, the 10-year-old plus units are the senior techs are going to, and anything less than 7 years or so, I'm sending the maintenance techs. But yes, I'm not putting a guy and sitting waiting for calls if I have tune-ups. Capacity is profitability. So I'm booking 3 tune-ups a day and a repair call in the afternoon. That's your 80%.
So for those who are listening and who are live here, I just want to make sure you understand that Justin and Noah are big data people. Like
Nerds.
before Upfrog came around, like that's their thing is data. As you can probably tell from this conversation, I don't want you to think that they're just making these numbers up and everything. They look at lots of data all the time. Like some of the conversations that we'll have with Justin and Noah, and it's like, how the heck did you know that? And they're like, we have watched data for years, and they gather data from places that we just, as contractors, don't have access to it. And they also have a large pool of contractors.
It's the large enough data to look at, right? Because if we're looking at data for a $2 million company, but they're looking for data for big companies,
Hundreds
all
of
over
millions of dollars of businesses,
all over the US.
so we get to collaborate on, and we get to see, and it's funny, some people make some things work, some people make other things work, and it's interesting, depending on what type of business you are. But at the end of the day, it's 4 calls a day. That's your optimal thing, and you want to have at least, like, if you take the number of techs that you run, everybody gets a COD or repair call a day. Right, so you're booking 3 tune-ups with your outbounders and your other marketings, because I'm going to be honest, that contextual marketing is going to challenge in the next month. You're just not going to get a lot there. Okay, I don't want to like predict bad things, but
No gloom and doom.
I mean, it's just the reality of, but don't worry because you have everything you need. Okay, you really do. Okay, and people say, well, I don't want to do a free tune-up. Well, you want to go broke?
Right. So you're saying we do whatever it takes to get the guy.
Nothing happens until you get into the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's the
So we
that's
did
the quote of this whole
another
thing.
gigantic study. Okay, and it was really interesting to see. We did a study of average job ticket between the cost of a tune-up, and we wanted to see what it really is. We have some people that run $199 tune-ups, and we have people that run free tune-ups. Now, what do you think the variance was between average job ticket between them?
I have a feeling the free ones are probably more.
No more than 5% average job ticket variation between a $199 tune-up and a $0 free tune-up. So it does not matter. What mattered is the tech that went and the age of the equipment.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you can book more calls
Now-
because it's free.
There you go.
Is well, the feedback that I get and when I hear, even when I talk to my technicians and other technicians out there, is when I go on a free tune-up, I always get tire kickers, the ones that just want the tune-up for free and they don't want to do anything.
That's because you live in
else.
Georgia.
What?
How old was the unit?
That's the next question.
Right.
Age. That's
It's age of the unit. So the age of the unit is delineator, right? If it's 5 years or less, what we tell, well, you should probably call back the original company because it's probably still under warranty. So
That's
we're
when you're
pushing.
booking- that's when you're booking it.
Heck yeah,
Okay,
we're pushing it.
So if they got our text message, that's hey, this is our $19 special.
That's right.
And we're
That's
gonna come
right.
out there and
We
book
actually
it.
trained our AI to do this.
Do what?
When we're going through texting and we ask we go through a list, right? It's do you own or rent? What's your zip code? We're confirming the zip code. Then we're asking the people, what is the age of the outdoor unit? Where is it located? Okay. And if they say it's less than 5 years old, we say, gosh, have you tried calling back the company that installed it? Because most likely that unit's still under warranty.
Right. But
And then
we-
they'll
we
say,
wanna-
well,
we
it's
wanna-
actually broken right now.
Oh, okay.
So then you can say, okay, you can go out. Or they might say, great, I really appreciate you being honest.
Would it? Is like immediately I'm thinking, are we turning away money?
No. Because the revenue generated from a 0 to 5 year old unit is so poor. So you're looking for 10 pluses.
Okay, I get that. So just playing devil's advocate here. What about us owning the home as far as
Okay, good point.
getting in
So there's a dance here, right? The knob.
Yeah.
So
we
what's
want
your
as many-
capacity at?
Many members under.
Where's your capacity?
so capacity.
It's
So-
capacity. So if you're at 80% or you're pretty well booked, you're going to push them out and they're not going to go in the first 3-way window. If it's a 0 to 5, we never schedule them more than 2 weeks. We schedule them 2 weeks out. It never gets the demand slots, right? So they're always going at least a week, maybe 2 weeks out. Okay, so then we're always pre-building our future, and we're constantly working on the people that are 10 years or older in a triage almost, and it's a lot of work.
And one of the most successful companies I can think of right now, if it's under 7 years,
Yeah.
7 years or under, they're going to book it right now for March 10th.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if they can't keep their techs busy, then guess what? They're going to call the March 10th appointment and say,
Ding.
hey, I got an opening. Would you be interested? So you still own the home. They're not going to call someone else for a tune-up, and you still keep them on your book, but you don't have to send your techs who are at capacity right now in the dead of winter, let's just say, to that younger unit. Now, if it's a 10-year plus, like Justin said, it's just like a broken unit. We're treating it as
We're getting in the same day, and they actually run 4 time slots. They run till 10 p.m. at night.
So how do we that call comes in at 4 p.m. All your techs they're at their 4 call capacity. What are we doing?
They have shifts.
Okay. Well, so
And what size do you see that happening? Is there
Good question.
is there a size of
I've
company
started
that
to see it at around 5 to 7 million.
Okay.
It start. The bigger companies execute it very, very well.
15 million plus is like they run with it.
Everybody's got it at that size.
Okay.
Like these aren't things like they would be nice, this or that. Like these are the things that the larger companies do that you can start when you're smaller, get these practices honed, and I promise you will grow extremely, extremely fast because they're just worried about filling the board. 80, 60, 40, right? Like just get that done. If it's less than 5 years, book it out a week or 2. Simple as that. Don't charge anything for tune-ups. Who cares? No charge diagnostic, no charge tune-up. Don't care.
but all of that requires technicians who convert.
Yes.
Well,
we are supposed
yeah,
to
that's
have those in our
Obviously.
business, right?
I'm stating the obvious.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's tougher for companies also to run this model who run salesmen, right? And so they do spikes or whatever you want to call them, or they go in, they run a tune-up. The guy doesn't really know how to sell systems, so they bring the salesman in another truck.
Sure.
It's not necessarily something where you can run this sort of booking model. So it doesn't fit everyone, but I can tell you that if you transition your business towards this, it's much more consistent, right? So at the end of the day, we don't like the ups and downs of HVAC. So the more consistent we make the line, the better off you'll be because you don't have the large losing months, right? And that's all, we all make money in the summer. It's just during the losing months where everyone loses all their net profit. So if you go out and you're a $5 million company, all right, and this is something I feel there's a lot of listeners in that area I talk to a lot every week, right? It's going to be one driven person, normally with a sales background. I like to find them on car lots. I like to find them in mortgage brokers, right?
Yeah, great industry right
That's
now.
a good one to pull from right now. They're used to calling 300 people to tell them no. Are you
There's
able to
your
train on that? They're already trained.
Yeah.
So one of the killers that I call them killers because they set some appointments. And if you really want somebody to go out and get something, you want somebody to go kill and eat, right?
Yep.
So the people that I want are the people that
We know you like to eat, Noah.
are very sales driven. Okay. So
like
the
it.
mortgage people,
too.
whenever they get a tune up, they're going to make sure that if it's young, they're not going to like beat around the bush. They're going to straight tell them exactly how it is and move to the next. Now, if you have one person, your $5 million company, I feel that it's important to not always push people out as far as March, right? Like maybe shorten it up a little bit and make sure that your guys, your 3 techs or whoever you got stays busy, right? Because there's always that 80, 60, 40. So if you need to get to 80 and you've called and called and called and, you know, it's 10 p.m.,
Grab one from March.
grab one for March the next morning to fill that board as soon as you walk in, right? And this is a much different company where you don't have after hours people as often. Now with that, I'm not to pitch here, but there's a bit of ribby, right? So we call our AI ribby. So if you keep someone in the office past 5, their whole goal is to just start conversations and then let what we train to be the best salesperson book the call, right? So where you're using that person like yourself as an owner beside that sales tech in a smaller, say $3 to $5 million business, you still have someone that's trained as she calls and does outbounds into that 5 to 8 p.m., which if you're any of us, I'm sure you sit down on your couch sometime between 7 and 10 p.m., right?
Yeah.
That's when the majority of America sits down. So if you don't have someone there, then your $5 million company, that is the lowest hanging fruit for you.
So
right now.
I think that there may be people out there thinking, well, okay, so outbounding is what I need to do. What do I say?
Yes.
Right? Like, what do I do? Like, I pick up the phone and what's the script? What am I supposed to use? Right?
Yeah.
So here's the one that's working right now. Hey, my name is Justin from Relentless Heating and Air, and I really appreciate you being, you know, a loyal customer of ours. I understand that you did purchase a unit from us on X year, but it'd be wrong of us if we didn't let you know about the special promotions that we have going on right now. You appreciate them? Tell them it would be wrong of us if we didn't tell you about this deal. We would feel bad if we didn't let you know about this opportunity. Are you interested? Yes or no?
Yep.
It's that simple. It's not calling for a tune-up, right? It's thanking them for their business, right? And it's using it as like a deference. Like we're sorry to interrupt your night, but there is this opportunity, and it would be wrong of us not to let you know about it. That is especially good for sales follow-up on unsold jobs. That is probably the highest producing revenue script that outbounders do. Like calling all your unsold jobs from last year. Hey, I know you said you were holding off in the future, or it wasn't ready, or the time isn't right, but it would be wrong of us if I didn't let you know about our no payments, no interest till 2025.
Now, this isn't terribly different from our text message campaign, correct?
No, it's not. Same thing. Same basic thing.
Yep.
But that one is working extremely well. A lot of businesses we follow are 30, 35% inside sales right now. That's where the revenue is coming from.
So right now, what I'm hearing is, as we get some uncertainty, as we get that market that is really becoming a tight, like on their money, and we don't have demand calls coming, outbounding.
Yes.
Outbounding.
Yes.
It's taking control.
Don't call your marketing company and tell them, hey, we need to triple our budget because we need more calls.
Yeah, because
That's
everybody's going to
like,
do that.
I would love that, right? Like we want to help as a marketing company, but that's not really what's going to work right now. Okay, what's going to work is the hard work, and there is no easier and softer way. unfortunately, but this is the way that has been proven to work. And I can tell you, if you do it, you'll probably have the best February you've ever had.
Yeah, February is traditionally, I want to say it's in line with November for us. But
It used to be better when tax returns would come quicker. Now it seems like they keep kicking it out.
Yeah.
And like we used to get this little bump.
And we
Like
don't get any interest on that either when they kick it out like that, do we?
right? I know.
we can't penalize the government.
No, we
penalize
can't
the-
send them an invoice and be like, nah, it's 18% interest on that, plus penalties.
Yeah.
penalties, yeah.
But yeah, there used to be a bump in there that used to come. It used to be the tax credit stuff.
Okay,
Now,
so let me ask you this. Let's transition away from HVAC and
Okay.
to plumbing, because I know
yeah,
there's some
great.
plumbers out there.
Perfect. Same thing works in plumbing. Okay, home plumbing inspections and water heater flushes.
Water heater flushes are the number one, right?
100%.
Okay, so what's our conversion when we're doing water heater plumbing?
So nine numbers I know right off my head. You said we were data freaks, all right? So about 12% booking rate off of a Facebook lead. So if you're looking for a water heater flush, obviously you're going to get a lot of people who are interested in it.
Yeah.
But initial booking rate, I'm saying like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Okay? Now it's going to be about 12%. So I could imagine over the phone on a older list, we could divide that in half. So if you're booking 6%, we're at least getting an answer out of 50%.
This is let's clarify here. So the ones 12% you're talking about new customers, just
New
cold
new
outbounding
customers.
those sorts of customers.
Yes.
Existing customer list, you're going to get in 8 to 9% of your customers
There you go.
with it.
Yep. There's a number.
Yeah, and really you can do both, right?
So
And-
when we're converting on that job, what is our goal? If I'm not a plumber.
well, right now we're doing a lot of winterization in hose bibs,
Yep.
right? Because it got cold. Now, unfortunately, that's kind of moved on now, so it's back to the whole home inspections. There's not a home that's out there that somebody doesn't think a drain runs a little slow. So what they'll also do is video drains. They'll do a $19 video drain clean. You can go in, shoot your drains, see what it looks like. But honestly, the water heater flush is the most successful one that I have seen.
Yep. And what you're looking for there is obviously a water heater replacement. That's your largest
And
thing.
guess what you're doing? You're asking them how old is the water heater?
Same thing. Same thing. So if their
Same
water heater's
process,
old,
just a different piece of equipment.
There you
Years
go.
old. Are we skipping it?
So water
March
heaters,
10th.
water heaters, it's not as much. They still want to get out there. From the plumbers that I'll talk to, they just want to get to the home because lots of times they'll have something else the customer
Right.
is interested in, similar to electricians. Now we don't play as much, but it's kind of just same thing. Get through the door. Now with the water heater flushes, obviously through Facebook. All right, now it's getting a little out of realm, but it's going to be like a rusty interior water heater cut in half, right? Could you imagine what your water heater looks like? Get it
Yep.
flushed and filled today, right? Then you flush it and say, well, ma'am, based on the age of it, like I can flush it for you, no problem. That's going to be a very cheap rate, right? But while I'm here, I could go ahead and set you up with one of these heat pump ones that have rebates. All right, now you
There
get
you
a
go.
pitch in the home, and now your value goes way up. So if you sell one of those and you're doing Facebook marketing, it's going to pay for like 2 weeks of it, right? Or a week of it at least. So that's a big thing that it gives you the chance to do as a water heater flush. However, look, it's going to be conversions on water heater flushes as sales in the home are probably closer to 30 to 35%, where my HVAC guys who are good at what they do get the price online, invite you to the home. It's going to be north of 50 to 7, right? And that's obviously a different style of customer, right? They saw a price and for a replacement and invited you out versus someone who kind of just wants to maintain an older unit. Still similar to our
Nobody invites you to their house
Yep.
unless there is a level of interest. Okay? Nobody takes time out of their day to invite some company to their house to do something. Okay, so I don't care what it is. Like even if it's free, like there's this battle, well, you're bait and switchers, and
Yeah.
there's this huge argument that's out there, and it's like you're inviting somebody into your home. Nobody does that for fun. They just don't do
I
that.
don't know. There's some like retirement communities that have been around, and they're
Now,
just
I have seen-
bored, and they want
They just want someone to talk to.
somebody to hang out.
Bring
with.
that tech over again that we
We
talked
have
to
a
for 2
guy
hours last
that's
time.
in Ohio, and he used to be a contractor, and he puts a lead in about every 3 months because he wants to talk to us at Upfrog, because he used to run a business and
Yeah.
he used to have it, and he's like
Just give you
80
some
some years
advice.
old, and it's
Back in my day, yeah.
we
Yeah,
love
he'll
him.
tell
we
you.
love him, and it always happens when you're the most busiest.
Oh, yeah.
And he like starts hammer calling you,
Carl, call me back in 2 weeks. I'm busy right now.
but it's just the way it is, And but a lot of people think that $0 diagnostics, $0 calls, and things like that are ruining the industry. And quite honestly, there is an amount that you can charge unless you're charging around $450 for a diagnostic
Right.
call.
That's the
that
thing
would
about it.
ever
You're
like,
losing money no
do
matter
the
what.
math.
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
Go. There you go.
Right. We did $119. We knew we lost money.
Of course.
It was just a rate we used.
Some
but
people
yeah,
billable rates $650 an hour now.
Right.
In some of these really, really expensive high overhead places.
But
Or
to
if
be
you
clear,
have terrible overhead.
no mailers, no billboards, no Facebook ads that say $0. Okay, they have to get through
Yes,
something else before we offer
when they're an
them
existing
$0.
customer is when you guys are
Existing
offering
customers,
Good point.
people who have already qualified themselves through an online sizing tool.
That way,
etc.,
you
right?
that helps to avoid the tire kickers with
That's right. That's
People that
right.
just want you out
Somebody
there.
that
for free.
just
they,
wants
have
you
a,
there. for
they
free.
just bought their home 6 months ago,
And
they
that's
have a
why
home
Noah
warranty.
is like the Sherpa, right? So when you come to us, it's like, he's like figuring out the path of what's going to work best in your business, okay? More importantly, we say, hey, this is what's worked for a lot of people in the past. Which one would you like to do, and which one do you believe would fit your business best? And we kind of lay out the options in the beginning. And it's fun, man, because not everybody's exactly the same. Like some companies have 300 employees, some have 5.
Yep.
Like as long as you have a good base, like we can help you.
Some have
And,
process docs they have to rewrite for 2 weeks to fit yours in, and then some
Yep.
don't have process docs at all.
But I would suggest that, look
Crazy.
internally. When nothing else works, is when you look internally. That's when you need to be in your customer base this next month.
Okay, so devil's advocate again. If we don't have an outbounder, now it's going to take me 2 weeks to hire an outbounder.
Why?
Then it's done got hot.
You can't make 100 calls? How
Well,
bad do you
have
want
you
it?
seen Tertia's schedule? He's busy.
He is busy,
Yeah,
but he's also up late, so,
I'll start calling you at 2:00.
Yeah, no, that won't work. That won't work.
Well, based on overhead numbers earlier, your opportunity costs that you're missing. All right.
Are your CSRs that busy that they
Yeah.
can't answer calls? Like, is your phone ringing off the hook?
No.
It's dead.
Right. This time of year, it is dead. I mean,
Yep.
but that goes back to, should we have our CSR doing outbounding?
Okay, so if you don't have anybody, what I would suggest is come to somebody like us at Upfrog, where we have a texting platform that has AI that can help you schedule them automatically. I do not want that to be a replacement for your internal department, which should be developed. Okay, every business needs to have this in their business, and it's kind of a pseudo inside sales outbounding department. Okay, so you got your CSR, you've got your dispatcher, and you've got your outbounding. You want to have those 3 pedestals in your business. Now, for the time being, until you find someone, yeah, we can do text, email blasts with AI, and we're going to schedule people. But what I really want people to do is to become self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Because you get this freedom that comes from your business, and that confidence and the freedom of being able to do it for yourself will just launch your growth.
So the way we've done it, the way we've done it in the past, anyways, is we give the outside salesperson 2 days to close the deal.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, then our inside sales can take over, and they start calling.
I love it.
And once they kill it, they get 2% of the commission of the job. That's and then the outside salesman loses that 2% of the job.
Yep.
All right, so I want to talk one last thing. I got one more thing, and this one's really important because I want people to understand this. There are a lot of people that say, I'm never going to drop my price. All right, I can't drop my price. So if you've got an inside sales department that's working on leads that are 6 months old, you have already paid to acquire that customer. So you have to figure out what your customer acquisition cost is to go get a new one, and then you have a choice. You either discount the amount of the previous job to get it to the customer acquisition point, or you buy another one. You understand that? Like,
You're still
holding your
spending the
line
same
is
money.
stupid. Okay, you have a grace period that you can back it down to your cost of acquisition. So if it costs you $1,200 to acquire a new HVAC customer, then you can take $1,200 off that job, and it's exactly the same. There's no difference, front or back, right? So don't be so rigid on some of the already quoted stuff, because you've already paid the front end costs and expense on that customer. So we are seeing gross profit values sag a little bit. I would say HVAC is less than plumbing. I would say certain lines of plumbing probably is the highest gross profit areas. I think HVAC will sag to 40 to 43% going into the spring. I think that's kind of the target zone to be into and to be profitable. If you can figure out how to make your business profitable, selling 14 SEER units, you will win. But I think
Why do you
lot of
say
people,
14 series? Is that what you're seeing? That people
because 82% of the market buys 14 SEER, right? So if you want to be when the market gets narrow, you need to go wide, right? And what I mean by that is, so as market share shrinks, okay, you need to be as appealing to as many people as possible. Like you can't, in my opinion, you can't be a real niche guy when the market goes away from you. That's really, really tough, right? So a lot of people's businesses only operate when they sell 18 SEER and 20 SEER equipment, because that's what they configured their price books on. That is where they make their overrun money, right? You make more per system. No. You should really think about your 14 and 16 SEER models being your systems that you make money on, okay? And learn how to run your business lean to where selling a 14 SEER system with a couple add-ons is a very good job for you. And I think that you'll make it through this really, really well, because it used to be people cared about a lot of special stuff. Right now, they just want to get back to their life.
Yeah, this isn't. This
Okay,
isn't
so before we wrap up, anybody in the audience have any question about anything that Justin and Noah have said? I want to give y'all an opportunity just in case y'all have a question. Oh, you don't have to hit him up afterwards. Oh yeah, we're not plugging him. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
You're just leading to the finish of the conversation.
If we want to get if anyone here or anyone that's listening wants to get in touch with you guys,
Yeah, friend us on Facebook. You can find us at upfrog.com, upfrog.io. We have a Facebook group also, which we share a lot of this data stuff in. So it's called HVAC Digital Ally. Join the Facebook group there. And to let you know about the Facebook group, I personally let people in one by one. I vet people before they come in. There is no DMing. There is no nothing. There is no riffraff. Okay. And if there is, you're gone. Right? Because I think that these groups have become
spam and salespeople get in
so
there and
bad.
it's like
so bad.
I didn't think I'd ever brag about this, but there's like 600 real people in there.
There's actually like real actual, not people trying to like,
true.
Yeah.
you know, direct message you all the time, but and just chat with us. You know, we love to just rap back and forth.
Yeah. Cool. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Hey man,
We
we
appreciate
appreciate everything y'all have
partnering
done.
with us.
Yeah.
You've been there since the beginning, and we really, truly appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
You're also
Love it.
sonsering the #1 podcast.
That's right.
Yeah,
If you're going to sponsor one, you got to sponsor
it's
the
kinda
top
best,
dog here.
You know,
Pretty good, pretty good.
love it.
Well,
y'all
thank
for
you guys
hanging out.
again.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.